Journal of Saint Lucia, Excellency Doom, Dave pour la télévision. Thank you very much. You now have permission to sit.
Dave Luis, I'm very honored by your presence with us tonight. I hope you'll enjoy this literary session. And I'm most thankful to you for the way you give prestige to the diplomatic corps of St. Lucia. And I think that we are also, I may say that with the permission of the Dean of the Diplomatic Corps, Ambassador of Venezuela, we are also very pleased that you have accepted to be the patron of the Latin American and Caribbean Film Festival. Lady Janice Campton, Mr. Cuthbert Élysée, President of Alliance Française, Bruno Stéphanie, Directeur Général de l'Alliance Française, who has given us enormous support and to whom I thank very much for making it possible that we're having this session. My dear fellow ambassadors, Ambassador Life Escalona of Venezuela, Jorge Soberon of Cuba, Mohammed Benjilani of Morocco, Luis Beltrán Tomás de Argentina, my dear friend Derek Walcott, Nobel Prize for St. Lucia, and officials and oh, I was told you had gone away.
France is well represented by
Yes, you're right. Yes, yeah. Of course, the staff of the French embassy, our good friend Philippe Sergio, chargé d'affaires, Madame l'ambassadrice. Maintenant, je crois que j'ai couvert tout le monde. Okay, and also the staff of the French embassy and the staff of Alliance Française and the staff of the Brazilian embassy, who was very supportive of this effort. Well, first of all, I would like to extend to the French staff here, Sergio, Bruno Stefanini, my warmest and sincere compliments for the Francophonie month, which starts today. And I would like to mention that for 8 years, I have been a student of Alliance Française of Rio de Janeiro, which Bruno knows very well. And I remember that it is a charming building downtown Rio de Janeiro with a beautiful, it had a beautiful library when I studied there, where you could find all classics of the French literature. There was a theater and a theater group called Les Comédiens de l'Orangerie. So the Maison de France building added a lot of animation to the cultural life of Rio de Janeiro. I have seen many times French authors staged at that theater. such as Molière, such as Ionesco. I remember very well those presentations. And, you know, those are things that stick to our memory and don't leave us. And my attendance to Alliance Française of Rio de Janeiro, I would say it's responsible for 50% of my taste for literature and for what I know about literature. I mean, in terms of literary theory, in terms of literary history, criticism, stylistic. So 50% of that was something that I gained from my condition of a student of Alliance Française. That's why I feel so happy in being here at this place at the start of the Francophone months. The book that I am presenting tonight has 13 points of contact with the French language and culture. I translated into Portuguese, it is in the book, 7 poems from celebrated French poets. From Charles Baudelaire, I translated L'Albatros, Recueillement, Invitation au Voyage. I translated into Portuguese, of course. From Jacques Prévert, I translated Déjeuner du matin, Le fait est morte, Miroir cassé. And from Paul Verlaine, I translated Mon rêve familier. And also, as points of contact of the book with France and its culture and language, there are in the book 2 sonnets in Portuguese, 2 sonnets inspired by French motifs. One of them is called Napoleon III, the clock. And the other, well, this one is a fantasy over a clock in the style of Napoleon III, an existential, you know, fantasy. And there is another which is called To Our Lady of Chartres, which was written last year for a pilgrimage that I did to France along with Marilia, my most dear wife, to whom I who put herself a lot in this event tonight, and I'm most thankful to you for that. And and with one of my children. Now, besides that, there are 4 poems that have been written directly in French. I wrote them originally in French, and those are the ones who are going to be read tonight. In French, followed by a translation into English. Before we start the reading part of this session, I would like just to mention to you in a very short way what my understanding of poetical art is. First of all, I think that poetry is like the wine. I compare poetry to wine. There are several varieties of grapes, soils, techniques, but the major criteria for poetry and for wine is to please those who taste it. If it has pleased, it's good. If it has not pleased, it's bad. In second place, I think that the poet must write with absolute freedom. Freedom is a key word for poetry. No attachment to schools, to styles, to aesthetics, etc. I'm also very fond of eclecticism, of transparency, and of conciseness. I think these are important elements to poetry. among writers and poets especially, there is a saying which is, to write is to eliminate words. And I believe that very much. Now, for recitation, then I'm going to present, with the help of very outstanding writers and poets of St. Lucia, who honor me tonight with their participation. I'm going to present those poems that were written originally in French and followed by their translation into English. But before that, I just want to make a remark. Once in Brasilia, I was about to present a recital, and then my mother came to visit with me. She lived in Rio, she came to visit with me. And I gave her a preview because I wanted her opinion on what the recital could be. I gave her a preview. She listened very carefully to everything. And when I finished, she said, "Son, your poems are great, but I'm going to give you an advice. Don't drink more than 2 scotches and don't recite more than 6 poems." So it was in that spirit that I organized that session tonight. 4 poems, their translations, and at the end, a surprise that you will like. 3 weeks, the microphone is yours.
Paris, 1980. A short stay in the spring. In search of the ravishing atmosphere, which is part of the universal image of the city. The need to forget sad events through the passing of time. Suddenly struck at the Mirabel Bridge by the author's recollection of Apollinaire's regret of the passing of time in his famous verses. Sous le pont Mirabeau coule la Seine et nos amours. Vienne la nuit, sonne les, les jours s'en vont, je demeure. Under the Mirabel Bridge, the Seine and our love flew. Night comes, hour rings, days go by, I remain. Paris, Paris.
Guéris-moi, guéris, j'ai du chagrin, je veux le baume de ton printemps. Et toi, ô Seine, coule, coule, emporte ma peine, n'écoute pas au Mirabeau, Apollinaire, au vers.
Paris, 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 heal me, I am in grief. I want the balm of your spring. And you, O Seine, flow. Flow, take away my pain. Don't you listen at Mirabeau, to Apollinaire and his verses untrue.
Montreal, 1992. An arrival in Montreal in the depth of the winter. First impressions of a foreign diplomat in an urgent need to adapt. The overwhelming presence of snow. A moment of economic recession and of ferocious debate on the separatism of Quebec in a referendum to come shortly. The welcome to a foreigner, which used to be more institutional than heartful, until he had a Canadian fixed address, a Canadian bank account, and a Canadian credit card. the feminine element, whose kind, vague, and delicate expression seemed to be the true welcome. Bonjour Quebec, good morning Quebec.